Hey everyone, welcome to Pocket Coins, the channel where we dive into the fascinating world of US coins and their rich histories. If you're passionate about coins, collecting, or just love learning about the hidden stories behind America's currency, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to talk about some of the most iconic coins in US history, starting with a coin that might be sitting in your pocket right now, the 1963 D-Mint penny. Now, here's a question for you. What's the value of a 1963 D-Mint penny? Is it just another common penny, or could it be worth more than you think? Stick around to find out how this penny could actually be worth a lot more than its face value. Let's kick things off with the 1963 D-Mint penny. At first glance, this may seem like just another penny from the early 60s. After all, it's got the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, and the reverse shows the Lincoln Memorial, a design that's been on the penny since 1959. But what many people don't know is that there's a chance this penny could actually be worth more than its face value. The 1963 D-Mint penny was minted in Denver, and generally, you'll find it in circulation today for just 1 cent. However, certain factors like its condition, rarity, and whether it's a proof coin can significantly increase its value. If you happen to have a 1963 D penny in mint condition or better, it could be worth a few dollars to a collector. But in rare cases, if you have a well-preserved example with high-grade quality, it could fetch $10 or more. So, if you've been hanging on to old pennies, it's always worth checking them closely. A penny that's decades old might just be sitting in your jar, waiting to be discovered as a hidden gem. Next up, let's talk about the 1967 Lincoln penny, which is considered a rare find for collectors of small cents. While the Lincoln penny design is one of the most well-known and widely circulated in U.S. history, the 1967 version stands out for a few interesting reasons. The 1967 Lincoln penny features the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a design that has been in place since 1959, but it also has the famous image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. At first glance, this might seem like a typical penny from the era, but it's important to note that while the mintage of the 1967 penny was quite high, there's a specific type of 1967 Lincoln penny that's much rarer and more valuable than most. So, what makes the 1967 penny special? Well, a key factor that increases its worth is condition. Pennies from the 1960s, in general, are often worn down due to heavy circulation, but if you come across a 1967 penny in excellent condition, especially one with sharp details and minimal wear, you could see its value rise significantly. In fact, a high-grade 1967 penny could be worth 10 to 20 or more, depending on its grade. However, the real value of the 1967 Lincoln penny comes when we talk about the error coins. A rare double die error or a misstruck penny can increase the value of this coin dramatically. Error coins from this year have been known to fetch up to $1,000 or more at auctions, depending on the rarity and quality of the mistake. These types of errors are incredibly sought after by collectors because they represent an anomaly in the minting process. So, if you have a 1967 Lincoln penny, be sure to check it carefully for any signs of wear or, better yet, any errors. While the standard 1967 penny may not be worth much, the error varieties could make you a fortunate find. Keep an eye out for those rare misstrikes, because they could be worth far more than you might expect. Let's move on to another interesting coin, the 1968 D Lincoln penny. While the Lincoln penny design has been around for over a century, certain years, like 1968, can be especially significant for collectors. The 1968 D penny was minted in Denver, and while it may seem like just another typical penny from the late 1960s, there's more to this coin than meets the eye. The 1968 D Lincoln penny features the iconic Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a design that has been with the penny since 1959, and the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. But here's where it gets interesting. While millions of these pennies were produced, the 1968D penny is considered a bit rarer due to its unique characteristics and higher demand among collectors. One of the main reasons the 1968D penny stands out is because of its condition. Like many pennies from the era, the 1968D was heavily circulated, so finding one in near mint condition is not as common as you might think. A well-preserved penny can command a higher price, and if you're lucky enough to find one with sharp, clean details, it could be worth $20 to $30, depending on its grade. But here's the real kicker. Error coins from the 1968D series can be worth a lot more. Certain misstrikes and double die errors have been discovered among these pennies, and these mistakes can make the coin extremely valuable. In fact, some rare 1968D pennies with errors have sold for up to $325 or more, depending on the severity and rarity of the error. So, if you're checking your change or going through your collection, be sure to take a closer look at any 1968D pennies. If you find one in excellent condition or with an error, you could be holding on to a coin that's worth far more than its face value. And remember, eBay is full of listings where you can find these pennies, with free shipping often included, so keep an eye out for great deals. Next up, we're talking about the 1973 Lincoln penny, a coin that might look ordinary at first glance, but can actually be a rare find for collectors, especially when it comes to missing mint marks and stamp errors. Most pennies from this era are fairly common, but the 1973 penny has some special qualities that can make it incredibly valuable under the right circumstances. First, let's talk about the no mint mark issue. Most 1973 pennies have a mint mark, either D for Denver or S for San Francisco, on the obverse near the date. But in some rare cases, a 1973 penny was struck without a mint mark, which is a mistake that happened during the minting process. These no mint mark pennies are extremely rare and highly sought after by collectors. Because the no mint mark error is so unusual, a coin like this could easily be worth several $100s or more. But that's not all. There are also stamp errors that can increase the value of a 1973 penny. A misstamped penny, where the design is either double stamped, off-center, or poorly struck, can make the coin even more valuable. These types of error coins are particularly prized by collectors who specialize in minting mistakes. In fact, certain 1973 penny errors have sold for as much as $1,000 or more, depending on the severity of the error and the coin's condition. If you're lucky enough to find a 1973 penny without a mint mark or with a stamp error, you could be sitting on a rare coin that could fetch a significant price. Some listings on platforms like eBay are asking for $1,000 or best offer, which shows just how much these error coins can be worth in the right market. So, the next time you're going through your collection or checking your change, be sure to look out for the 1973 no mint mark penny or any stamp errors. It could be worth a lot more than you think. Now, let's talk about the 1974 Lincoln penny, which is a rare find for collectors, especially when it comes to the no mint mark variety. The 1974 penny features the iconic Lincoln Memorial design on the reverse, which has been in use since 1959, along with the familiar Abraham Lincoln portrait on the obverse. However, there's something about the 1974 penny that makes it stand out from the rest. Most 1974 pennies will have a mint mark, either D for Denver or S for San Francisco, indicating where the coin was struck. But in some cases, the 1974 penny was minted without a mint mark, and this error is incredibly rare. A no mint mark penny from 1974 is a highly sought-after coin, and because of its rarity, it can command a much higher value than its face value. While most 1974 pennies are worth just 1 cent, a 1974 penny with no mint mark can be worth much more, especially if it's in circulated condition. In fact, These no-mint mark pennies have been known to sell for as much as $750 or even more, depending on the coin's quality, rarity, and demand in the market. The value can vary based on factors like the coin's grade, whether it has any errors, and the overall demand from collectors. If you're going through your collection or checking through old pennies, be sure to look for any 1974 pennies with no mint mark. If you find one, you could have a rare treasure on your hands, and it might be worth a lot more than you expect. A no mint mark 1974 penny is definitely a coin that could be a valuable addition to any collection. Next, let's talk about the rare 1976 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. This particular penny is a highly sought-after find for collectors, and its value can be much higher than you might expect, up to $400 or more, depending on its condition. The 1976 Lincoln penny features the well-known Lincoln Memorial design on the reverse, which was used from 1959 until the early 2000s, along with a classic image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. However, the key to the rarity and value of this penny lies in the absence of the mint mark. Typically, pennies from 1976 should have a mint mark indicating where they were produced, either D for Denver or S for San Francisco. But some 1976 pennies were struck without any mint mark, and these no mint mark pennies are incredibly rare. The 1976 penny with no mint mark is a mistake that occurred during the minting process, and because it's so unusual, it has become a highly desirable coin among collectors. While a typical 1976 penny might not be worth more than its face value, a no mint mark version can sell for $400 or more, depending on its condition and market demand. This makes it a great find for anyone looking to expand their collection of rare U.S. coins. If you happen to come across a 1976 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, take a close look. It could be worth far more than just a single cent. You could be holding on to a valuable collector's item that could fetch a significant price at auctions or through private sales. Let's talk about the 1977 Lincoln penny with a no mint mark error, a coin that's incredibly rare and highly prized by collectors. While most 1977 pennies will have a mint mark, either D for Denver or S for San Francisco, there are some 1977 pennies that were struck without any mint mark at all. These no mint mark pennies are extremely rare and can be worth a lot more than their face value. Typically, a 1977 Lincoln penny is not worth much more than a cent unless it has a mint mark error. But a 1977 penny without a mint mark is a highly sought-after coin, and it can fetch an impressive price. In fact, listings for these rare no mint mark 1977 pennies are often seen asking for anywhere from $750 to $1,500, depending on the coin's condition and rarity. For example, a collection of 14 1977 Lincoln pennies with no mint mark has been listed for $750 or best offer, and individual 1977 no mint mark pennies can be priced as high as $1,500, depending on factors like grade and market demand. The reason for these high prices is due to how rare these coins are. The no mint mark error is a result of a minting mistake, and finding one in excellent condition is incredibly rare. If you happen to come across a 1977 Lincoln penny without a mint mark, it's worth checking it closely for any other distinguishing features or errors. A well-preserved penny could be worth hundreds of dollars, or even more. So, if you're sifting through your collection or looking through your change, don't overlook these extremely rare coins. They could be worth a lot more than you think. Let's take a look at the 1978 D Lincoln penny, a coin with an interesting history and specific characteristics that make it an essential piece for collectors of U.S. coins. The 1978 D Lincoln penny features the iconic Lincoln Memorial design on the reverse, which has been in place since 1959, along with a familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. This penny was struck at the Denver Mint, and it's one of the most common pennies in circulation from the late 1970s, with a total mintage of 4,280,233,400, That's over 4.2 billion coins minted. The 1978D penny has a plain edge, which is standard for most U.S. pennies, and it has a diameter of 19.00 millimeters and weighs 3.11 grams. Again, typical for a regular Lincoln penny. Despite the large mintage, there are still some factors that can make this coin valuable, especially if it's in high-grade condition. While the 1978D Lincoln penny isn't considered rare by any means, it can still be valuable to collectors if it's in uncirculated condition or higher. A well-preserved penny, especially one graded MS65 or above, can be worth 1 to 3 or more, depending on its quality and demand in the market. Coins with unique characteristics, such as error coins or those with double dies, are always worth more, so be sure to check your 1978D pennies for any unusual features. Though it might not have the rarity of some other coins, the 1978D Lincoln penny is still a piece of U.S. coinage history and a must-have for those collecting pennies from the 1970s. With its large mintage and classic design, it's a great coin to add to any collection, especially if you're focusing on coins from the Denver Mint. Let's take a look at a rare find among the 1981 Lincoln cents. The 1981 Lincoln cent with no mint mark and a double die error. While most 1981 pennies were struck with a mint mark, either D for Denver or S for San Francisco, this particular penny is notable for its absence of a mint mark. In addition to that, this coin also features a double die error, which makes it even more valuable. First, let's talk about the no mint mark aspect. Most 1981 pennies have either a D mint mark for Denver or, in some cases, an S for San Francisco. However, some 1981 pennies were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which didn't have a mint mark on the coin. Finding a 1981 Lincoln cent without a mint mark can already be a rare occurrence, and when combined with an error like a double die, it becomes even more desirable to collectors. The double die error is a significant flaw in which the design was struck twice, resulting in a noticeable doubling effect on the letters and numbers, especially on the Liberty and In God We Trust inscriptions. This error is highly sought after by collectors, particularly those who specialize in minting mistakes or die errors. The 1981 Lincoln cent double die is particularly valuable because it's not as common as double die errors found in other years, making it a key addition to a collector's error coin collection. Now, let's talk about the value. A 1981 Lincoln cent with no mint mark and a double die error in AU, about uncirculated, or better condition can be worth significantly more than the typical penny. Depending on the severity of the doubling and the overall condition of the coin, it can easily fetch around $600 or more, with some selling for even higher prices depending on the market and collector interest. If you happen to come across a 1981 penny with no mint mark, be sure to check it carefully for any double die errors. A coin with this combination of rare characteristics could be worth far more than its face value, and is certainly a coin that could make a significant impact on any collection. Let's take a closer look at the 1981D Lincoln cent, another significant coin in the Lincoln penny series. Minted at the Denver Mint, the 1981D penny is part of the large run of pennies produced during the early 1980s. In fact, over 5.37 billion 1981D pennies were minted, making it one of the most common coins in circulation from that year. The 1981D Lincoln cent features the classic Lincoln Memorial design on the reverse and the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. It has a plain edge and a weight of 3.11 grams, which is standard for all U.S. pennies. The coin has a diameter of 19.00 millimeters, just like most other pennies in the series. Here's where things get interesting. While 5.37 billion 1981D pennies were struck for circulation, it's important to note that not all of these coins are still in circulation today. Of the total mintage, About 1.07 billion 1981 pennies exist in all grades, including those found in circulation, as well as those that have been set aside by collectors. Of those, only around 107 million coins are known to be in MS-60 or better condition, which means that finding one in excellent condition can be a bit more challenging. So, what does that mean for value? While the 1981 penny is not particularly rare, a well-preserved, uncirculated example can still be worth more than face value. Most 1981 pennies in circulated condition will be worth only 1 cent, but those in MS-60 or better can fetch around 1 to 3 depending on the grade. Higher grade examples, particularly those that are graded MS-65 or higher, can be worth even more. So, while the 1981 penny isn't a high-value coin by itself, it remains a great coin for collectors, especially for those looking to complete a set of Denver Mint coins or for those who enjoy searching for rare and high-grade specimens.